Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about Venus. But in particular Venus when it's placed in a sign of dignity, being the home sign, fall, detriment and exaltation. So before I get into the specifics of what these placements indicate, I just want to say one thing, and that is something that I mentioned in the other video where I talked about the Sun, Moon and Mars in dignity, fall, dignity and exaltation, is that you must always look at a chart as a whole, and you must always factor in the aspects to these placements, the house of these placements, and as I said, the chart as a whole. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of how to understand how energy plays out in astrology. So with Venus, let's get into it. Venus is in dignity in Taurus and in Libra, so that means they're in their home sign in those two signs. So first of all, Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus gives a person the ability to experience fulfillment in love, because Taurus is a very contented energy, and it's the energy of the earth, which resonates well with the planet Venus. It's the energy of appreciation of beauty and the simple things in life. It's a very stable energy, it's a very loyal energy, and it has a lot of patience for love. So, you know, when a person is tested in love and you have Venus in Taurus, you do have the patience to, you know, go through the difficult times, the trials and tribulations, and still be a stable presence for your relationship, and still be able to stick with a relationship through its ups and downs. The other thing is, you know, Venus in Taurus is about sensuality, the five senses, and it really allows for the individual to really enjoy love and to really enjoy their relationships. So and there's a real simplicity with Taurus in the sense that it doesn't expect, you know, all these huge things and, you know, all the bells and whistles in love. It can really be content with, you know, very simple expression of love, hugs and, you know, cuddles and, you know, the physical touch, physical affection, and stimulation of the five senses. And in love, Venus in Taurus is very sensual, and it can really enjoy with, you know, you can really enjoy with your partner or with someone that you love, the physical aspect of the relationship, and which is very natural. There's a very natural energy with this. And, you know, Venus is also not just relationships but finances, and so Venus in Taurus is able to draw to it love and abundance and finances, you know. So usually Venus in Taurus is drawn to things like beauty and the arts, and you know, anything that has an element of natural or something natural with it. Okay, and as I said, one of the key things with Venus in Taurus is it's very patient, and it is very kind energy as well, and there's a sense of a stable presence with that person. So because that person is very stable in their love nature, they will draw people to them who appreciate that stability and who want to give back to the Venus in Taurus. So Venus in Taurus is very loving as well, and very, very loving in a physical sense. So it's not all like in their head or all cerebral. It is showing and showering love to the object of their affections with physical touch, with kindness, with a sense of beauty and appreciation, and a warmth to it as well, the warmth like of the earth. So that's in a nutshell how Venus in Taurus is. But Venus is a very physical sign, very physical sort of energy in a way, and with Taurus it's a beautiful physical energy. So it really, you know, a Venus in Taurus person is going to be, as I said, very connected in the physical way, and give you that affection and that love that all human beings need, that is essential to thrive in life. So it would be very unusual for a Venus in Taurus to withhold love in terms of physical love or affection in a relationship that's harmonious. It's not something that they would normally, you know, do. Again, look at the aspects of the person's chart. But also financially speaking, this is a very stable energy to have. So you will find that in your life, again, you've got to check all aspects of the chart, but you'll find in your life that you'll be able to have quite a stable life in terms of your financial life. And it doesn't mean that you always have, you know, be super wealthy, but it just means you always have what you need, you know. And again, check the aspects, because that can throw things off, especially if the moon's in fall or detriment. That can make things different, or if there's difficult aspects with Neptune or Uranus to the Venus, that can change that in some way. But generally speaking, Venus in Taurus is able to have a very stable financial life, or a consistency with their finances. It would be very rare to see a Venus in Taurus really down on their luck for long stretches of time or years on end. And they always can have or experience support from others in some way, or shape or form. Now, Venus in Libra is also in its home sign. Also, you know, Venus rules Libra and Taurus, as I said. So Venus in Libra is a different energy, because it's the air energy, but it's still very positively expressed to have Venus in Libra. Venus in Libra is a very romantic energy. It's very in touch with the idealism of love. And the idealism of Venus expresses itself well in Libra, the sign that rules harmony and relationships. So, you know, a Venus in Libra person will be able to attract relationships to themselves quite easily. And, you know, they will be able to see how to relate to another person in a way that is very fair and equal. And they have a very strong sense of equality in relationships and a need for equality. And there is a sense and a need for beauty in relating as well. And there's a refinement of Libra energy which is different to the earthy Taurus. It's very refined, and it is a little bit on the mental plane because it's an air sign, but it's to do with idealism. And, you know, they do tend to see, at least on the outside, that they're attracting the ideal partner, or that they have the ideal love in some way. And it might not be in every aspect of life, but in some way they will feel that they have their ideal love in their life. It is a very good placement for that. And you know, Venus in Libra is all about sharing in love, and sharing the experience of love in general in life with someone that's like a, you know, a companion, their true partner, someone that, you know, they feel a true connection with. So having that companionship is very important and allows them to feel that they have love in their life. And in financial aspects, they will probably benefit from the partner financially in some way, or have support from their partner financially in some way, similar to Venus in Taurus. And what else? Venus in Libra is very beautiful energy. So also Venus in Taurus and Venus in Libra people will have a beauty about them. Taurus will be more of a natural beauty in some way, whereas Venus in Libra, still natural beauty, but very refined features, very sort of idealistic, very symmetrical features with the face. And, you know, they'll have very refined thin hair, but not super thin, like, but there'll be a lightness to the hair in some way, like the way it sits will be very sort of often straight, not always, but often straight, or very ideal in some way. They can have an ideal beauty about them. And I think that's what I was going to say with those two. Yeah. So moving on to, so those were the dignity home signs for Venus. Let's talk about the fall sign for Venus, which is Virgo. So why is Venus in Virgo in fall? Well, Venus in Virgo is a very cerebral energy. It's also very practical though. And Venus is all about, Venus in Virgo is all about what's correct and what's right and what should be and what shouldn't be in a relationship. And as you can see, it gets very analytical. Virgo being a very analytical sign. And it can be difficult for that person to be calm in a relationship. They can feel very on edge or very anxious about their partner, wanting things to be right, wanting things to go in a certain process or in a certain manner that feels correct, or the correct way to do things. And Virgo represents, you know, the virgin. So it can be that this person holds their sexuality back or is quite uptight about their sexuality until they feel that the other person has proved to them that they have done the right thing or the correct thing. Another thing that's problematic with Venus in Virgo, sorry, I thought my phone was on silent. I better put it on silent there. Another thing with Venus in Virgo is that that overanalysis can lead to being very critical of the self and the partner in love. So They can be critical of their own body. If, say, the Venus in Virgo is in the 6th house, they'll be very self-critical about their physical body. They might feel they have to look perfect in order to attract a partner. This can cause a lot of anxiety and psychological stress and problems. They can feel like if it's not always focused inward to themselves, which subconsciously it usually is with Venus in Virgo, but it can be projected out to the partner where it's like, well, you did this wrong and you did that wrong, so I'm not really going to be interested in someone like that. And they may not give love a chance. They may be too busy criticizing and picking apart all the things that the person has said and done wrong, and have a list of things in their mind that are just incorrect. And like, well, you didn't prove yourself to be, right for me, so then forget it. Even though on a gut level they may feel very strongly drawn to that person and want to be with them, but this Venus in Virgo will prevent them from allowing themselves to try to sort of get past those problems or work through the issues. And anyone that's been in a long-term relationship knows that all relationships do take work and effort. They do take time to work through issues and to really get to know someone on a deeper level. But Venus in Virgo can really sometimes shut the door very quickly. Again, it depends on other factors. If you've got a lot of Taurus in your chart, then you're going to feel more patient with your partner or with a potential lover. If you've got a lot of strong other placements that, other exaltations and other things that show patience, like Capricorn, loyalty, you might not struggle with it as severely, but you still may be very hard on yourself in love. So as I say, always factor the whole chart in, how it all plays out. But Venus in Virgo can be very highly strung and very nervous about what the partner is saying and doing, and analyzing everything to the point of taking the energy out of the relationship, taking the romance out of the relationship, being too caught up with the details of things. Like when they are going to, get romantic with their partner, they might be like, oh, I need to close that door and that window, and I need to fix this, and I need to make sure, I've got new sheets on, and, the bed, and like I need to have a glass of water by the bed. All these little things can be a bit like neurotic with the Venus in Virgo, and it might not be that extreme how I've labeled it just now or how I've explained it, but just to give you an idea that it can be quite neurotic, Venus in Virgo, and it can be a little bit overly fastidious about things to do with, they can be a bit controlling with the details of being close to someone and that sort of thing in love. Also, the anxiety level is a problem with Venus in Virgo sometimes when it comes to work. So again, Venus, I always say, is finances as well, your money. In work situations, Venus in Virgo can be, perfectionist. They can want the perfect job, and they can not want to sort of be in situations that are just to get money, because it's like, well, that's not my ideal job. That's not what I see myself doing, and I don't want to do something that feels like, it's going to cause me anxiety or stress. I want to feel that I'm doing something that's productive and being of service to people in a meaningful way. So they can struggle with that. And Venus in Virgo does suffer a lot in love because of this perfectionism that they put on themselves and their partner, and they can be very much focused on, how can I fix my partner? I see that they have a flaw here and a flaw there in their personality, and maybe if I tell them, they'll get it and they'll fix that, but it's not always how it goes, and usually it's not how it goes. The person just ends up feeling very criticized. So Venus in Virgo really needs to try to scale back on the self-criticism and the criticism of others. Easy for me to say that. I know it's something that comes from anxiety, and that's not always easy to control, but often Venus in Virgo people have been criticized by a parent, or they've been picked on, growing up, that they have a lot of insecurities that they have to work through in themselves, and they have to realize that love is never perfect. It will never be perfect. Another human being or themselves will never be perfect. It's not possible. So to understand these things, if you have Venus in Virgo, can actually help you to relax a little bit in love and just go more with the flow, because it'll actually surprise you when you go more with the flow and sort of take on the energy, more of a Pisces energy a little bit, which in the positive sense goes with the flow, and you never know what surprises can be there in love if you actually allow things to unfold more naturally, rather than trying to control every detail of an interaction of your relationship, your partner, the way they do things, all that sort of stuff. So Venus in Virgo can be very uptight, can be very overly thinking, overly analytical, and can cause problems in love because they tend to overthink things, and they want clarity. They want to know, like, what's going to happen. You know, they want to put everything in a box and go, okay, well, this means that, this person said this, so it must mean that they feel this way. You know, there's a lot of that going on. So it can just be problematic, because when you overanalyze or you overthink a relationship to that level, you just kill it. You take the energy out of it, so to speak, you know, and it loses the romantic aspect and the magical aspects to it. So if you have Venus in Virgo, just try to go more with the flow, and definitely address any anxiety or self-criticism issues that you have within yourself, and try to work on self-acceptance and acceptance of others. And, you know, just one last thing, Venus in Virgo, I know several people that have this placement, and they have told me that, you know, something that a partner says can really turn them off, because Virgo is also a sign that's ruled by Mercury, actually. So Mercury is the mind and thinking and speech. So Venus in Virgo can be very turned off by someone saying the wrong thing in the wrong way. It can really harp on their mind. It can really get to them, and it can really turn them off their partner when they think, oh, they said that to me, and I can't believe that they see things that way, or I can't believe that they have that opinion, or I can't believe that they speak that way. You know, it can be an irritation with little things that seem out of step. Anyway, moving on. So Venus in Pisces is exalted. Interesting. So the opposite sign to Virgo, of course. Venus in Pisces, you know, is going with the flow energy. It's very watery, obviously. It's instinctive, and it just flows with life a little bit more when it comes to love. Like I don't want you to think that Venus in Pisces is perfect, because again, you're going to look at the aspects, as I said, but it definitely has the potential to experience deeper love when it goes with the flow and it allows itself to. And Venus in Pisces usually can allow itself to experience love by trusting in and diving deeply into a partnership and allowing it to unfold naturally. And also, you know, in the highest expression of Venus in Pisces, you can really experience, as a Venus in Pisces, true unconditional love for someone else and also for yourself. Now, it might not be easy to get there. There might be a process involved in your life, but you definitely can experience extreme sort of qualities of transcendence in love through intimacy. And you can feel within yourself, and it may not even be necessarily always about the partner, but you can feel in yourself a deep, deep love for someone that seems to transcend the physical. And you know, it can be something that where there's an element of sacrifice in love, but through that sacrifice you actually learn what true love is. And Venus in Pisces will do a lot for the partner, so they will sacrifice, you know, things like their own money, their own time, their own resources to help their partner. And that's obviously in the highest expression of Venus in Pisces. If you've got a lot of aspects that are really harsh and negative, or, you know, with Uranus, Pluto, or if you've got other detriments or fall positions in your chart, it's going to be much harder for you to experience that, but you still have the potential to experience that. So, you know, each sign, even the exaltation signs, are not always perfectly positive. So I don't want you to also think that there can be difficulties with them also, depending on the individual, depending on how evolved they are. So, but Venus in Pisces can definitely experience a very ideal love in a very spiritual sense. They are very giving people. They can be very giving and very open to new love. They can go with the flow into new experiences without overly analyzing things and stopping themselves. You know, they will just go into it. They will flow and listen to their intuition and flow into new love experiences. So they don't block love like, you know, Venus in Virgo may, or if you've got Saturn conjunct Venus, you may block love. Venus in Pisces will allow themselves to experience love, and they will dive in and take the risk and take the plunge, which, you know, in love, everybody needs to, in order to experience real love, take that risk to risk your heart being broken. Otherwise, you'll never experience it. So any kind of situation where there is love at stake, it requires an element of risking your heart, and Venus in Pisces will risk their heart, even if they've been hurt before. What else? Is there anything else that I forgot? Oh yeah, Detriment. So Detriment is Venus in Scorpio and Venus in Aries. So Venus in Aries is in Detriment. You'll see this because the person with Venus in Aries is very impatient in love. They want what they want and they want to go after it. Now, Venus as a planet is about drawing love to you, but Venus in Aries wants to chase and wants to, you know, loves the thrill of the chase. And they sometimes will get bored, like once they've caught their person, they'll be like, oh, you know, I'm not that into you now. I'm kind of got my thrills and I'm kind of like, kind of bored now, I might move on to someone else. You know, Aries is a sign of quick new beginnings and doesn't have too much staying power, so it can be difficult for Venus in Aries to maintain relationships, because they do get restless, they do get bored, they get impatient, they get angry very easily. Again, always factor in the rest of the chart, but it can be difficult for Venus in Aries to just settle into a relationship, because, as I said, the thrill of the chase is a big factor. And they're very impatient. They just want what they want, so they don't want to wait. And they, you know, sometimes you need patience in love, and they really don't want to wait. They really don't want to have to wait for anyone or anything. They just want to go after the person they want, grab them, take them home. Very sort of primitive in some ways, you know. It has that primal energy to it, you know. And they're very passionate, but they can burn out quickly, as I said. And as I said, Venus is best suited to energy where there's more patience and you know, gentleness, I think, with Venus. And but Venus in Aries can be very fiery, too fiery for Venus, for the planet, where it's like, if you do someone wrong with Venus in Aries, they can really verbally get really angry and very nasty and really put you down and shout at you. And it's almost like they want to win. Even in love, they want to win. And sometimes, you know, that's not the best approach, and they have to learn more patience. But it is a difficult placement. It is detriment because of those reasons. And also Venus in Scorpio, lastly, is in detriment. Why is Venus in Scorpio detriment? Because Venus in Scorpio is very complex, and love is not simple for Venus in Scorpio. And even if they feel like it's simple for them, they will attract a partner who's very complicated or very difficult, or takes them through a dark night of the soul, or takes them through the underworld, being that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Pluto, you know, is about going through the underworld, the darker aspects of love. So there could be a lot of challenges for Venus in Scorpio going into that underworld with their partner, going through things like where their partner struggles with anger, rage, depression, power struggles in the world, or they themselves can experience this, jealousy, issues of power and control, dominance and submission. They could feel like their partner's very controlling, or they themselves try to control their loved one through fear. Venus in Scorpio can be issues with, for women, getting pregnant, or they can either get pregnant very easily and have many pregnancies, or they can suffer with the pregnancies quite a lot. And you know, same with Venus in Aries, there can be problems with getting pregnant, and Venus in Virgo, because they're not the most, especially Venus in Virgo and Venus in Aries, they're not the most fertile of energies. It doesn't mean that you can't have a child, so don't get me wrong, but it just means that there can be more problems in conceiving, and also in child rearing if you have those placements and you're a woman. Venus in Scorpio tries to draw love in, but it's very secretive, so it may not open up easily. And in love, you do need to open up and express your emotions. So this, with Venus in Scorpio, not expressing your emotions could actually cause more problems for you in the long run in your relationship, because you may want to withhold to protect yourself, but in the end that's actually can be quite hurtful to you and the other person, and you may not even realize that it's delaying things or causing problems. And it's almost like with Venus in Scorpio, it's like once bitten, twice shy. It's like you've been hurt before, and you're like, I don't want to get hurt again. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to shield myself. I'm going to guard my heart. I'm going to close my heart off. Oftentimes that's something that people with Venus in Scorpio go through, this kind of a lot of difficulty emotionally, and they shut down because they've been hurt. And they do have such a desire to merge with others, you know, mind, body and soul. They want someone in that very deep way, but they can really struggle with opening up, and it can be almost sometimes a bit of a bit torturous in some way, because Scorpio can be like that. They can experience love, it's not that they can't, but it just can be a long road for them to go through all the many ups and downs. But you know, Scorpio is a sign of transformation, so they can experience a transformation, but it's going to come through a lot of trials for them. Okay, just back to Venus in Aries for a second. I forgot to say they may enjoy fighting. So Venus in Aries detriment, they may enjoy fighting with their partner because they get out a lot of their frustration and energy. And it's a very hot energy, but Venus is more of a cool energy, so it can be a bit mismatched. Venus in Aries, very fiery, hot, temperamental, and very passionate, but also very angry at times. So they might be hurting their partner without realizing it, or they may get hurt in relationships because of their impatience, because of their own bluntness in expressing certain things in love. They can be too forthcoming, Venus in Aries, where it sort of scares people off, or because of their impatience and their blunt nature. Again, factor in the whole chart, you know, there might be a lot of Venus in other places that helps this, but they can be very blunt and unforgiving, and they can be very, like, cut people off very quickly if they get really angry and they've had enough and they just move on to someone else. So went a bit back and forth with Venus in Aries and Scorpio, but there was a lot of info there, so I hope the video was helpful to you. I'm going to make another video hopefully soon about Mercury in Dignity, Detriment, Fall and Exaltation. So leave your comments below if you have any questions or comments, and if you'd like to book a reading, go to my online store. The link is below or in the cards in this video. Thanks guys, bye.